start talking about the writing process. Something that really is review here. Most of you probably been using it since about the 3rd grade. But we have a very specific writing process that really you can use for your entire life, all the way into college. And it's just steps that help make sure you go through the entire process that is needed to have an effective piece of writing. Each step is just as important. It's not something like, there's one most important step and you can really focus on it, and the others are, sort of, good if you want to do them also. It's every step is just as important as the other. So our 5 steps, starting number 1 with pre-writing. Very first thing we're going to do, and we'll go into these more in depth in just a second. Then we're going to draft. Then we're going to revise, edit, which those seem very similar, but we're going to talk about how those are different and how you need to put effort and energy and spend equal amounts of time on both. And then finally, publishing with our final draft. So first thing, pre-writing. Pre-writing is a whole series of things, including first off, brainstorming. Brainstorming, getting your brain going on what you might want to write about. Once you have narrowed it down to what you want to write about, then you need to start planning your draft and putting some notes out in some form. It might be a timeline. It might be another graphic organizer like a Venn diagram down here. It might just be a standard outline, but something that helps you organize what you are going to write about. Then we're going to go into drafting. And drafting is the step that a lot of people, this is all they do. They don't do any pre-writing. They don't do any revising and editing. And they just write one draft that they also use as their final copy. So this is a rough draft. It's your, it's kind of what you want to write about. But you should be doing your draft after your pre-writing. You should have put a lot of effort into your pre-writing to then have an effective draft. Then after we have written that first draft, we're going to go back and we are going to revise. And revising is what I refer to as making our writing stronger. We think about arms, having those strong arms. But with arms, we are adding, removing, moving, and substituting. And so we're adding sentences or words, we're removing things, we're moving things around, we're changing things out by substituting. We're really making our writing a stronger piece of writing. We're putting in missing details, we're taking out stuff that's redundant and we've used too many details or we've said the same thing already. We're just making that writing stronger, and that's what we do in the revising step. People a lot of time think revising and editing are the same thing in the same step. They're not. They're separate steps. So editing, we're now thinking about cups. So with cups, we are making things perfect. It's like we got a clear glass and we're shining it up. We're taking off all the spots and blemishes, making it where it's perfectly crystal clear. And we do that by focusing on things like capitalization. Usage, which usage is, it's our subject and verbs that they agree. That we say things like he is instead of he are. Now it sounds funny, but we need to look for those things. Make sure we're using the proper usage. Make sure we're using the correct tenses. If we need to be saying something in the past tense, we're using past tense. If it's present, it's present. Then we look for things like punctuation. Question marks, periods, exclamation at the end, commas in the middle. Putting quotes on things when there are quotations that need to be in our writing. And then finally, spelling. After we've done our revising and editing, we can take those edits, all those marks we've made, and we can rewrite that draft with those edits in place. This is where we get that final copy. This is what we are publishing. This is our perfect final copy. And this is what we're going to turn in. In school, it's what you turn for a grade when you're later on in life. If you're a professional writer, this is what you turn into a publisher. This is that final publishable copy. And so our 5 steps: pre-writing, revising, editing. Well, I forgot drafting. Pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, and publishing. That's our writing process. you.